Aries, 2026 is not just another year for you. It's the year everything shifts. Neptune is moving into your sign for the first time in over 160 years, bringing a spiritual awakening so profound it's going to reshape how you see yourself and your purpose. Your career is calling for bold moves that would have scared you before. But this year, you're ready. This is your spiritual rebirth year, where the warrior meets the mystic. Let's go deeper and discover what the universe has planned for you. And before we begin, comment down your name and from where you are watching for divine attendance in this video. Neptune enters Aries fire sign. Something extraordinary is happening in 2026 that hasn't occurred since the 1860s. Neptune, the planet of dreams, spirituality, and higher consciousness, is moving into Aries. Now, you need to understand what this means. Neptune spends about 14 years in each sign, so when it changes signs, it's a generational shift, not just a personal one. But for you, Aries, this is deeply personal, because Neptune is coming into your sign, into your first house of identity and self. This isn't like other transits you've experienced. This is a complete rewiring of how you understand yourself spiritually. The fire of Aries meeting the water of Neptune creates steam, transformation, a blending of warrior energy with mystical vision that's rare and powerful. Neptune in Aries is going to dissolve some of the harder edges you've built up over the years. You know, that tough exterior, that I can handle anything alone attitude, that tendency to push through without stopping to feel. Neptune is going to soften that, not to make you weak, but to make you whole. You're going to find yourself drawn to spiritual practices you might have dismissed before. Meditation, energy work, intuitive development. Things that seem too soft or impractical are going to suddenly make perfect sense. And here's the beautiful part. You're not losing your warrior spirit. You're gaining spiritual warrior energy. That's something entirely different, entirely more powerful. The awakening that comes with Neptune entering your sign won't happen all at once. It's going to unfold gradually over the next several years. But 2026 is when it begins. When you first start noticing that your dreams are more vivid, your intuition is sharper, your sense of connection to something larger is undeniable. Some Aries will feel this as confusion at first, because Neptune can blur boundaries and make things less certain. But that uncertainty is part of the awakening. Letting go of needing to have all the answers, learning to trust the mystery. By the end of this year, you'll barely recognize the person you were in January. And that's exactly the point. Spiritual identity complete transformation. Your identity has always been clear to you. You're the leader, the pioneer, the one who charges ahead. But 2026 is asking you to add new layers to that identity. Layers that have nothing to do with achievement or action or proving yourself. Neptune in your first house is going to reveal a spiritual dimension of yourself that's always been there, but maybe you didn't have language for it before. You're going to start seeing yourself as a spiritual being, having a human experience, not just a human occasionally having spiritual moments. This shift in self-perception, it changes everything about how you move through the world, how you make decisions, what you prioritize. The transformation of your spiritual identity means you're going to question things you never questioned before. Who am I beyond my accomplishments? What does my soul actually want, separate from what I think I should want? How do I honor both my need for action and my need for stillness? These aren't comfortable questions, but they're necessary ones. And 2026 is the year you finally have the courage to ask them and sit with the answers, even when those answers surprise you. Some of your old ways of defining yourself are going to fall away. And that might feel like loss at first. But what's actually happening is you're shedding skins that don't fit anymore. making room for a truer, deeper sense of who you are. By the time Neptune has been in your sign for a while, people are going to notice something different about you. You'll still be Aries, still bold, still direct, still ready for action. But there will be a depth to you that wasn't there before, a wisdom, a gentleness, a spiritual presence that draws people in. You're becoming the warrior mystic, someone who can fight when fighting is needed, but who also knows when to surrender to a higher plan. This complete transformation of your spiritual identity is going to affect every area of your life, your relationships, your work, your daily choices. You're not just adding spirituality as a hobby, you're integrating it into the very core of who you are. Career demands courageous leadership leaps. Your career in 2026 is not about playing it safe. It's about taking the kinds of risks that make other people nervous, but make you feel alive. With Neptune awakening your spiritual side, you might think your career would take a back seat. But actually, the opposite is true. Your career is calling for bold moves precisely because you're more aligned with your soul's purpose than ever before. You're not chasing success for ego anymore. You're pursuing work that actually matters to you. Work that feels like a mission, not just a job. And when you're that aligned, you become unstoppable. The universe backs up courage, especially the kind of courage that comes from knowing you're doing what you're meant to do. The bold moves coming this year might look like starting your own business, taking a leadership position you never thought you'd be ready for, or completely changing industries to something that feeds your soul more. Whatever form it takes, the key word is leadership. You're being called to step up, step forward, step into visibility. No more hiding in the background or waiting for someone else to give you permission. Aries energy doesn't wait for permission anyway. But this year, with Neptune adding spiritual fuel to your natural fire, you're going to lead with a new kind of authority. Not the dominating kind. The inspiring kind. The kind that makes others want to follow because they see something authentic in you. The courage required for these career leaps isn't about being fearless. It's about being afraid and moving forward anyway. You're going to face moments where you doubt yourself, where you wonder if you're making a huge mistake, where the old safe option looks really appealing. But deep down, you'll know that playing small is no longer an option for you. Your soul won't allow it anymore, and every time you choose the bold move over the safe move, you're going to build more confidence, more momentum, more evidence that you can trust yourself. By the end of 2026, your career landscape is going to look completely different, not because of luck, but because of your willingness to leap. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because what I'm about to share with you affects not just your career and spiritual life, but your relationships, your health, your daily reality. The planetary alignments ahead in this video reveal specific months when everything accelerates, and the exact practices that will help you navigate this transformation without burning out. The second half of 2026 holds some surprises. First quarter brings clarity tests. The first 3 months of 2026 are going to test how serious you are about this new direction. You know how it is. You make big declarations about change. You feel inspired and ready. And then life happens. And suddenly it's easier to slip back into old patterns. But this first quarter isn't going to let you slip back. It's designed to show you where you're still holding onto identities or behaviors that don't serve your evolution. Think of it like the universe checking in. Did you really mean that? Are you actually committed? And your response to these tests, whether you rise to them or shrink back, that's going to set the tone for the entire year. The clarity tests might come in the form of opportunities that scare you, job offers that feel too big, invitations to step into leadership before you feel ready, Chances to speak your truth when staying quiet would be easier. Or they might come as endings. Relationships that need to conclude. Living situations that need to change. Habits that need to die. Either way, the test is whether you're going to trust your new spiritual awareness or revert to old fear-based decision-making. Every Aries is going to face these tests in slightly different ways, but all of you are going to face them. And here's the thing. These tests aren't meant to trip you up. They're meant to strengthen your commitment. What makes the first quarter particularly powerful is that you're still fresh with enthusiasm. You haven't hit the middle of the year exhaustion yet. You've got energy and willingness and hope. Use that. Use it to establish new routines that support your spiritual growth, to have difficult conversations you've been avoiding, to make changes before momentum wears off. The Aries who pass these first quarter clarity tests, who prove to themselves and the universe that they're serious about transformation, they're the ones who are going to have breakthrough years. The ones who fail the tests don't lose. They just get them again, usually harder. Better to face them now while you're feeling strong. Mid-year Neptune retrograde deepens. Around mid-year, Neptune is going to go retrograde. And for you, Aries, this is actually a gift. I know retrogrades get a bad reputation. People think they're times when everything goes wrong. But Neptune retrograde is different. It's a time when the spiritual downloads you've been receiving get integrated on a deeper level. Think of it like this. The first few months of the year, Neptune in your sign is like drinking from a fire hose of spiritual information. It's overwhelming. It's intense. You're getting insights faster than you can process them. But when Neptune goes retrograde, it's like someone turns down the pressure so you can actually absorb what you've received. This retrograde period is going to ask you to go inward more than usual. And for Aries, who naturally loves external action and forward movement, this can feel frustrating at first. You might feel like your momentum is slowing down, like things that were moving fast suddenly hit pause. But what's actually happening is you're being given time to catch up with yourself, to let your internal reality match your external changes. This is when you review the bold moves you made earlier in the year, when you ask yourself what's working and what needs adjustment, when you deepen your spiritual practices instead of just skimming the surface. The deepening that happens during this retrograde is necessary for sustainable transformation. What you'll discover during Neptune retrograde is that some of the spiritual experiences you had earlier in the year, the ones that seemed amazing but also kind of confusing, they start making sense now. Pieces click into place. You understand why you needed to go through that difficult period, why that relationship ended, why that opportunity fell through. The retrograde gives you the gift of hindsight and clarity. And it also reveals where you might have been fooling yourself, where you were seeing what you wanted to see instead of what was actually there. Neptune can create illusions, but Neptune retrograde dispels them. This might sting a bit, but it's necessary truth-telling that keeps you on the right path. August career breakthrough. Window opens. Mark August on your calendar, because that's when everything you've been building toward in your career is going to come together in a powerful way. The planetary alignments in August create a breakthrough window, a time when doors open that were previously closed, when opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere, when the right people finally notice your work. But here's the thing. This breakthrough isn't random luck. It's the result of the courageous moves you made earlier in the year, the clarity tests you passed, the spiritual alignment you've been cultivating. August is when you reap what you've sown. And if you've been doing the work, the harvest is going to be abundant. The breakthrough might look like a promotion, a new job offer, a business deal that finally comes through. recognition for your work that elevates your visibility. Or it might be something more subtle but equally powerful. Finally understanding what your true career path is supposed to be. Having the confidence to pivot in a new direction. Connecting with a mentor or collaborator who changes everything. Whatever form the breakthrough takes, you're going to feel it. You're going to know something significant just shifted. And the beautiful part is that this breakthrough aligns with your spiritual values. It's not success for success's sake. It's success that actually feels meaningful. The window is called a window because it doesn't stay open forever. August energy is specific and time-sensitive. This is when you need to be bold, be visible, put yourself forward for opportunities instead of waiting to be chosen. Send that email, make that pitch, ask for that raise, launch that project. The universe is supporting you, but you still have to move. Some Aries will hesitate. They'll think, maybe I should wait until I'm more ready. Or maybe next month would be better. Don't fall into that trap. August is your month. The energy is ripe. The support is there. All you have to do is step through the door that's opening. Relationships require authentic vulnerability now. Your relationships in 2026 are going to demand something from you that might not come naturally. Authentic vulnerability. Aries tends to be the strong one. The one others lean on, the one who has it all together. But with Neptune softening your edges and awakening your emotional depth, you can't play that role anymore, at least not in the old way. Your relationships need you to be real, to admit when you're scared or confused or don't have the answers, to let people see the parts of you that aren't always confident and certain. This vulnerability isn't weakness. It's actually what creates real intimacy, the kind you've been craving even if you didn't know how to ask for it. The challenge is that being vulnerable feels like losing control. And Aries doesn't like losing control. But what you're going to discover this year is that vulnerability creates deeper connections than strength ever could. When you let someone see your uncertainties, your struggles, your tender places, that's when they can actually meet you soul to soul, not just surface to surface. Some of your relationships aren't going to survive this shift because they were based on you playing a role, not being yourself. And yes, that's painful, but it's also liberating. The relationships that do survive, that meet you in your vulnerability, those are going to become richer and more meaningful than you thought possible. Authentic vulnerability also means speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Telling your partner what you actually need instead of pretending everything's fine. Telling your friend you feel hurt instead of acting like it doesn't matter. Telling your family that you're changing and they need to accept the new you. These conversations require courage, but they're necessary if you want relationships that support your spiritual growth instead of holding you back. Neptune in your sign is going to show you where you've been people-pleasing, where you've been shrinking yourself to keep others comfortable, and it's going to give you the strength to stop. Real relationships can handle your truth, and the ones that can't, well, they weren't as real as you thought. September spiritual practices must intensify. By September, you're going to realize that casual spirituality isn't enough anymore. What worked in the beginning of the year, a little meditation here, some positive thinking there, it's not cutting it. Your soul is demanding more. Deeper practice, stronger commitment, actual discipline. This is where a lot of people falter. They love the idea of spiritual awakening, but they don't want to do the daily work that makes it real. But you're Aries. You understand that anything worth having requires consistent effort, the same determination you bring to your career or your fitness. You need to bring that to your spiritual practice now. September is when this becomes non-negotiable. Intensifying your practice might mean committing to daily meditation no matter what, or working with a spiritual teacher or guide, or diving deep into practices like breathwork, energy healing, or contemplative prayer. It might mean keeping a dream journal, because your dreams are trying to tell you something important, or spending time in nature regularly, because that's where you feel most connected to Source. Whatever practices call to you, the key is consistency and depth. Not jumping from thing to thing, looking for the quick fix, but actually staying with something long enough to receive its gifts. Neptune rewards devotion. It opens doors for those who show up repeatedly, sincerely. What happens when you intensify your spiritual practice in September is that everything else in your life starts working better. Your relationships improve because you're more centered. Your career flows more easily because you're less attached to outcomes. Your health gets better because you're not running on stress and willpower anymore. This is the paradox of spiritual practice. It seems like one more thing to do, but it actually creates more time and energy and ease in everything else. The Aries who commit to this intensification in September are going to end the year completely transformed, not just talking about spirituality, but living it. And that's the only version of spirituality that actually matters. October confronts old warrior wounds. October brings something you might not be expecting. A confrontation with old wounds around being the warrior, the fighter, the strong one. You see, Aries carries this archetype powerfully. You're the one who battles, who never gives up, who pushes through pain. But that warrior role often comes with wounds. Wounds from times you had to be strong when you wanted to break down. Times you fought battles alone because you didn't trust anyone to have your back. Times your strength was taken for granted or even used against you. Neptune in your sign is going to bring these wounds up for healing, and October is when they surface most intensely. The healing process isn't comfortable. Wounds rarely are. You might find yourself crying about things you thought you were over years ago, or feeling angry about situations you thought you'd forgiven, or recognizing patterns where you sacrificed yourself because you believed that's what warriors do. But here's what's important to understand. Healing these wounds doesn't mean losing your warrior spirit. It means freeing that spirit from the distortions and pain that have been weighing it down. You can still be strong, but from a place of wholeness, not from a place of proving something or protecting yourself. True strength doesn't need armor. What makes October particularly powerful for this healing is that you're far enough into your spiritual awakening that you have tools now. You have practices, you have awareness, maybe you have support systems you didn't have before. You're not facing these wounds from the same helpless place you were in when they first formed. You're facing them as the evolved version of yourself, the spiritual warrior who knows that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is feel your pain and let it transform you. By the end of October, you're going to be lighter, freer, more yourself than you've been in years. The warrior who's healed their wounds is unstoppable, not because nothing can hurt them, but because they know they can survive anything and still choose love. Year-end integration prepares next phase. As 2026 comes to a close, the focus shifts to integration, taking everything you've learned, experienced, and become this year, and solidifying it so it carries forward into 2027 and beyond. This isn't the time for new initiatives or big pushes. It's the time for rest, reflection, and conscious consolidation. You're going to want to review your entire year. Look at where you were in January and where you are now. Honor how much you've grown. Acknowledge what you've released. Celebrate what you've created. This review isn't just nostalgic. It's necessary for your brain and soul to understand what's changed, so those changes become permanent. The integration period requires gentleness with yourself, something that doesn't always come naturally to Aries. You've pushed hard this year. You've made bold moves, faced difficult truths, opened to spiritual experiences that stretched you. Now it's time to let all of that settle into your bones. Think of it like working out. You don't build muscle during the workout, you build it during the rest and recovery. Same with transformation. The growth happens in the integration. So if you feel tired in November and December, if you need more sleep, more quiet time, more space from people, honor that. Your system is processing a year of massive change. Preparing for the next phase means getting clear on what you want to carry forward from 2026 and what you want to leave behind. Some of the spiritual practices you tried might not be sustainable long term. And that's okay. Keep what works, release what doesn't. Some of the relationships that seemed important at the beginning of the year might not matter anymore. And that's okay too. What matters is that you end this year as a more authentic, spiritually awake, courageously living version of yourself. And that you enter 2027 ready for the next level. Because Neptune is just getting started with you, Aries. This transformation, it's not a one-year thing. It's the beginning of a 14-year journey. And you're going to be magnificent. So as you stand at the threshold of 2026, take a deep breath and feel the magnitude of what's coming. This isn't just another year of trying to improve yourself or achieve more goals. This is the year your soul finally takes the lead. Neptune entering your sign is a once-in-a-lifetime awakening that's going to touch every corner of your existence. From how you see yourself in the mirror each morning, to how you move through the world as a spiritual being. The bold career moves, the vulnerable relationships, the deepening practices, the healing of old warrior wounds. All of it is weaving together into something beautiful and true. You've spent so many years being strong for everyone else, and now it's time to be real for yourself. Trust this journey, Aries. Trust that the fire in your spirit and the mystery in your soul can coexist. Trust that you don't have to choose between being a warrior and being awake. You get to be both. And when those two forces merge within you, there's nothing you can't become and nothing you can't create. This is your time, your awakening, your rebirth. Welcome it with open arms. This is your year, Aries. The year you finally become who you were always meant to be.